We have studied athleticism for centuries. We have mapped the science of elite sport, charted the genetics of greatness, and built entire systems designed to identify champions before they even know what they are. And yet, Lionel Messi slipped through every single theory we had. This is an examination of the most abnormal career in the history of sport. And by the end of it, you will understand why nothing about Lionel Messi has ever been normal, and why that is exactly the point. Rosario, Argentina, 1992. The neighborhood of Las Heras was not the kind of place that produced global superstars. It was working class. Celia Cuccittini worked in a magnet manufacturing workshop. Jorge Messi worked at a steel factory. They had 4 children. Lionel was the third. By every sociological metric, his ceiling was local, regional, if he was lucky. But there was a problem with the metrics. The metrics had never accounted for what this kid could do with a football. By the age of 5, Messi was playing for Grandoli, a tiny neighborhood club coached by his father. By 6, he had moved to Newell's Old Boys, one of Rosario's biggest clubs. And from the moment he touched the ball in organized football, something was clearly, visibly wrong. Wrong in the best possible sense. He was doing things that children his age were not supposed to be able to do. Not things that were impressive for a 6-year-old. Things that were impressive, period. He dribbled past entire teams, not occasionally, routinely. His youth coaches later said they had never seen anything like it. Not before him, not after him. He was operating on a different frequency from the first day he stepped onto a pitch. But here is where the story takes the turn that should have ended everything. At age 9, Messi started falling behind his peers physically. Not in skill, in size. The other boys grew, Messi did not. Doctors ran tests. The diagnosis came back at age 11. Growth hormone deficiency. His body was failing to produce enough of the hormone needed for normal physical development. Without treatment, he would remain severely undersized. The treatment cost nearly $1,000 a month. His family could not afford it. Newell's Old Boys would not pay for it. The Argentine Football Association looked at the file and passed. River Plate, the biggest club in the country, considered it. Then they passed too. Think about that for a second. The greatest footballer in human history was offered to multiple professional organizations as a child, and every single one of them said no. Not because he lacked talent, because he was too small, because the investment was too expensive, because the risk was too high. They were looking at the surface. They were measuring height and weight and projected growth charts. They never thought to measure what was actually happening inside that brain. The way he saw space, the way he processed movement, the way he could calculate angles and timing and defensive positioning faster than boys 3 years older than him. And then, from 6,000 miles away, came the call that changed everything. FC Barcelona's sporting director, Carles Rexach, had heard about a boy in Argentina, a small boy, a very, very good small boy. He agreed to a trial. And what happened at that trial is one of the most famous origin stories in sport. Rexach watched Messi play for roughly 10 minutes. Then he grabbed a napkin, not a contract, not a formal document, a napkin. And on it, he wrote a commitment to sign Lionel Messi to FC Barcelona. The napkin still exists. It lives in a frame somewhere, a monument to the moment when one person looked past the surface and saw what nobody else was willing to see. In February 2001, 13-year-old Lionel Messi and his father boarded a plane to Barcelona. His mother and siblings stayed behind. He spoke no Catalan, almost no Spanish that the locals could understand. He was 4'7". He was about to enter La Masia, the most competitive youth academy in world football, where boys from across the globe fought for a handful of first-team spots. The odds were catastrophic. A boy who could not grow, in a country he did not know, speaking a language he could not speak, competing against the best young players on earth. And that is exactly where the story was supposed to end. A nice try, a brave attempt, a footnote. But nothing about Lionel Messi has ever been normal.
Hey everyone! This video is sponsored by OK Jersey, rated an impressive 4.5 stars on Trustpilot. Fans love them for high-quality jerseys, great prices only £15, and super fast delivery. They offer a huge selection of new season, retro, and even upcoming World Cup kits. Use code MAUS at checkout to get 8% off your order. Don't wait, go check them out.
La Masia was not designed to be kind, it was designed to be efficient. Barcelona's youth academy operated like a filtration system. Hundreds of boys entered, a handful survived. The rest were sent home with a handshake and a good luck. The system was ruthless because the product it required was perfection. Barca's first team played a style of football so technically demanding that anything less than elite was useless. Messi arrived into this system as its most improbable candidate. He was still receiving growth hormone injections. Barcelona had agreed to fund the treatment, one of the few clubs in the world willing to make that investment. Every month, the needles. Every month, the hope that his body would respond. Every month, the uncertainty. His first year was miserable by almost every non-football measure. Homesickness consumed him. His mother and siblings returned to Argentina after a few months, unable to settle. He was left with his father in a foreign city, attending a foreign school, eating foreign food, enduring a loneliness that would have broken most adults, let alone a 13-year-old. But on the pitch, something extraordinary was happening. The coaches at La Masia were accustomed to talented boys. They were not accustomed to this. Messi was not just good, he was a disruption. He broke their drills. Not because he failed at them, but because his solutions to the exercises were solutions the coaches had never considered. He found passing lanes that did not exist on the tactical board. He dribbled through structures that were specifically designed to be impenetrable. And here is where the science becomes genuinely fascinating. Researchers who have studied Messi's playing style, and there are many, have identified something that separates him from virtually every other elite athlete. His spatial processing is neurologically different. When most footballers receive the ball, they assess their immediate options. Messi assesses the entire field. Before the ball even reaches his feet, he has already mapped the positions of every player, predicted their movement trajectories, and identified the optimal action, not for that moment, but for the moment that will exist 2 seconds later. His brain does not react to the game, it reads the future of the game, not metaphorically, literally. Studies have shown that Messi's head movement in the seconds before receiving a pass is unlike any other player ever tracked. He scans the field with a frequency and efficiency that allows him to construct a near-complete mental model of the pitch. By the time the ball arrives, he has already decided what to do with it. The decision was made before the event occurred. This is not coaching. You cannot teach a brain to do this. This is adaptation. The same way deep ocean creatures develop bioluminescence because darkness demands it, Messi's cognitive architecture developed a form of perceptual processing that the game had never seen. His physical limitations did not hold him back. They forced his brain to compensate in ways that made him more dangerous than any physical specimen could ever be. And his body, the body that everyone said was too small, it turns out that being small was not a weakness, it was the weapon. Messi's center of gravity is lower than virtually any attacker in the history of professional football. His height, which every scout had marked as a liability, gives him a biomechanical advantage that taller players literally cannot replicate. When he dribbles, his feet are closer to the ground. His touches are shorter, tighter, more controlled. His ability to change direction operates on a different mechanical plane than a player who is 6 feet tall. Watch any compilation of Messi dribbling past defenders and you will notice something strange. The defenders are not slow, they are not bad. Many of them are world-class athletes in their own right. They simply cannot adjust to his movements because his movements happen in a space that their bodies cannot access. He operates below their reaction threshold. By the time a defender's brain registers the direction change, Messi has already completed it and moved to the next one. The growth hormone deficiency, the thing that was supposed to end his career before it started, created the very physical architecture that made him unstoppable. The universe, it seemed, had been taking notes, and it had a deeply ironic sense of humor. On October 16, 2004, a 16-year-old walked onto the pitch at the Camp Nou in a La Liga match against Espanyol. He was 5'7". He weighed roughly 148 pounds. He had been a professional footballer for approximately 11 months. He did not score. He did not assist. He played 17 minutes, and everyone who saw him knew. They knew the same way you know a storm is coming before the sky turns dark. Something in the air changed. The energy shifted. The crowd leaned forward. 17 minutes was all it took. 7 months later, on May 1st, 2000, he was 17 years and 10 months old. Ronaldinho, who was at that point the best player in the world, the grin of a mentor, proud of his student, the grin of a man who had just seen the future, the best young player in the world. By 2008, the young qualifier had been removed. He was just the best player in the world. But Barcelona was not simply in possession of a great player. Barcelona was in possession of something that had never existed in this form. Under Pep Guardiola, who took over as manager in 2000, he surged centrally, arriving in the box with the timing of a striker. Defenders had no manual for this. There was no tactical playbook that addressed a player who refused to exist in one location. You could not mark him, because marking requires a fixed target. Messi was not a fixed target. He was a glitch in the matrix. The system could not process him. In the 2008-09 season, Barcelona won the treble, La Liga, Copa del Rey, Champions League. Messi scored 38 goals across all competitions. He was 21 years old. In 2009-10, he scored 47. In 2010-11, he scored 53. In 2011-12, the number that still does not look real, 73 goals in a single season. 73. For context, most elite strikers are thrilled with 25. World-class forwards dream of 30. Messi scored 73 and still had time to provide 29 assists. During the calendar year of 2012, he scored 91 goals in all competitions. 91. That number broke a record that had stood since 1972, set by Gerd Müller, a record that most people assumed would never be broken because it was, frankly, absurd. Messi broke it and then kept going, as if the record was not a ceiling, but a speed bump. He won the Ballon d'Or in 2009, then 2010, then 2011, then 2012. 4 consecutive years as the officially recognized best player on the planet. In 2015, he won it again after leading Barcelona to another treble, this time playing alongside Luis Suarez and Neymar in an attacking trident that might have been the most devastating forward line in football history. That season, the three of them combined for 122 goals. The mathematics of that sentence is almost offensive. But here is the thing about Messi that gets lost in the numbers, the thing that makes him genuinely abnormal. It was not just that he scored, it was how he scored. Goals that looked like they had been choreographed by someone who had access to the source code of the sport. Dribbles through 4, 5, 6 defenders that ended with a finish so calm you would think he was passing the ball to a friend. Free kicks that bent around walls and dipped under crossbars with a trajectory that looked less like physics and more like witchcraft. He scored a goal against Getafe in 2007 that is, to this day, considered the greatest individual goal in Barcelona's history. He picked the ball up in his own half and dribbled past the entire Getafe team. Not figuratively, literally the entire team. 5 players, then the goalkeeper. 60 meters of running with the ball at his feet. It was a carbon copy of Maradona's famous goal of the century against England in 1986. Messi was 19. He did it because he could, because his brain had already seen the path before his feet started moving. Messi was not just the best of his generation, he was the best there had ever been. The statistics said it, the coaches said it, the opponents who had spent years trying to stop him and failed said it loudest of all. And yet, the one thing that eluded him was the one thing that mattered most to the people who wanted to deny his greatness. Argentina. For as long as Messi dominated club football, the national team was the wound that would not close. The trophy case at Barcelona overflowed. The trophy case with Argentina gathered dust. And in a country where football is not a sport but a religion, where Maradona was not an athlete but a deity, Messi's failure to deliver a World Cup became the single most weaponized criticism in the history of the game. He went to the 2006 World Cup at 18. Argentina were knocked out in the quarter-finals. He barely played. 2010, South Africa. Argentina were demolished 4-0 by Germany in the quarter-finals. Messi did not score a single goal in the entire tournament. 2014, Brazil. This was the one. Argentina reached the final. Messi had dragged them there almost single-handedly, winning the Golden Ball as the tournament's best player. They faced Germany at the Maracana. Gonzalo Higuain missed a one-on-one chance that still keeps Argentine fans awake at night. Mario Götze scored in extra time. Germany won 1-0. Messi walked up to collect his Golden Ball award, and the look on his face was the look of a man who had been handed a participation trophy at his own funeral. He had gotten closer than he ever had, and it had been taken from him in the most brutal way possible. 2015 Copa America final, Chile, penalties, Argentina lost. Messi scored his penalty. 2016 Copa America Centenario final, Chile again, penalties again, Argentina lost again, Messi missed. After the match, he announced his retirement from international football. He was 29 years old. He was done. The retirement lasted approximately 2 months. He came back. Of course he came back. But the damage was done, not to his legs, to his spirit. The narrative had calcified into something cruel and reductive. Messi can't win it for his country. Messi is not a leader. Messi is not Maradona. It did not matter that the supporting cast Argentina fielded in many of these tournaments would have struggled to qualify for the knockout rounds without him. It did not matter that football is an 11-man sport, and no single player, no matter how transcendent, can guarantee victory. The narrative did not care about nuance. Narratives never do. 2018 World Cup. Russia. Argentina limped through the group stage, needing a last-minute goal from Marcos Rojo to even qualify for the knockouts. They were eviscerated 4-3 by France in the round of 16. Kylian Mbappe, who was 19 years old, ran through the Argentine defense like it was a suggestion rather than a plan. Messi watched from the pitch as a teenager did to his team what he had once done to everyone else's. He was 31. His body was slowing, just slightly, just enough for the vultures to circle. The narrative writers sharpened their pencils. The greatest player who never won a World Cup. They were already composing the epitaph. But they had made a mistake, a fundamental one. They assumed Messi was finished descending. They assumed the darkness was where his story ended. They had clearly never studied what happens to creatures that are forced into the deepest, most hostile environments on Earth. They adapt, they evolve, they develop abilities that the surface world cannot comprehend, and then they rise. The first sign that something had changed came not at a World Cup, but at the 2021 Copa America. Messi was 34. He had left Barcelona under circumstances that still felt more like an amputation than a transfer. The club that had raised him, that had funded his medical treatment, that had been his home for 21 years, told him they could no longer afford to keep him. Financial mismanagement at the board level had created a salary cap crisis. The greatest player in the club's history was informed, essentially, that the math no longer worked. He went to Paris Saint-Germain. It was surreal, wrong, like seeing your father in someone else's house. The first season was difficult. The Parisian fans whistled him after Champions League elimination. Whistled Lionel Messi. The man had 8 Ballon d'Ors, and they whistled him because he could not fix their broken club in 6 months. But Argentina was different now. Something had shifted in the national team setup under coach Lionel Scaloni. A group of young players, many of them from the same generation, had formed around Messi like a protective shell. Rodrigo de Paul, Emiliano Martinez, Cristian Romero, Enzo Fernandez. They did not just respect Messi, they worshipped him. And more importantly, they fought for him, not because he asked, because they understood what was at stake. The 2021 Copa America, held in Brazil, was the proving ground. Messi was extraordinary. 4 goals, 5 assists, player of the tournament. Argentina beat Brazil 1-0 in the final at the Maracana, the same stadium where his World Cup dream had died in 2014. When the final whistle blew, Messi collapsed on the pitch and wept. Not polite, composed tears, heaving, gasping, decades of pain-releasing sobs. His teammates piled on top of him. De Paul was screaming, Otamendi was crying, an entire nation exhaled. It was his first senior international trophy. He was 34 years old. For anyone else, this would have been the perfect ending. The redemption arc complete, the trophy lifted, the critics silenced. But nothing about Lionel Messi has ever been normal, and this was not the ending. This was the prologue. November 2022, the World Cup in Qatar, the most controversial tournament in FIFA history. Allegations of corruption in the bidding process, migrant worker deaths during stadium construction, summer heat so extreme the tournament was moved to winter for the first time ever. None of that mattered to Messi. This was it, his last chance. He said so himself. There would be no 2026. This was the final dive into the deepest water. And either he would find what he had been searching for his entire life, or he would drown looking. Argentina opened the tournament against Saudi Arabia. They were massive favourites. They dominated the first half. Messi scored from the penalty spot. Everything was going according to plan. And then Saudi Arabia scored twice in 7 minutes. Argentina lost 2-1. It was one of the greatest upsets in World Cup history. Social media erupted. The memes were merciless. The narrative writers dusted off the epitaph. This is how it ends, they said. Not with a trophy, but with a loss to the 51st ranked team in the world. Except it was not how it ended. Not even close. What happened over the next 4 weeks was arguably the single greatest individual performance in the tournament's 92-year history. Against Mexico, with Argentina's entire World Cup hanging by a thread, Messi scored a goal from outside the box that landed in the bottom corner like a guided missile. The stadium erupted. His teammates erupted. An entire country, watching from thousands of miles away in the middle of their night, erupted. The goal did not just save the game, it resurrected the campaign. Against Australia in the round of 16, he scored again. Against the Netherlands in the quarterfinals, the match descended into chaos, penalties, and 22 minutes of added time that aged everyone watching by approximately 15 years. Argentina survived. Messi was everywhere, conducting, directing, refusing to let it end. Against Croatia in the semi-final, he produced what many consider his single greatest World Cup performance. He won and converted a penalty, then delivered an assist of such absurd brilliance that the Croatian defender, who was supposed to stop it, simply stopped running and stared. Julian Alvarez scored. Argentina won 3-0. Messi had put them in the final. December 18th, 2022, Lusail Stadium, Argentina versus France. 88,966 people in attendance. An estimated 1.5 billion are watching on television. What followed was the greatest football match ever played. I am not being hyperbolic. The 2022 World Cup final is, by near universal consensus, the most extraordinary 90 minutes, plus 30, plus penalties, that the sport has ever produced. Messi scored from the penalty spot in the 23rd minute. Angel Di Maria scored in the 36th. Argentina were cruising, 2-0 at half-time. Messi was about to win the World Cup, and then Kylian Mbappe happened. The same teenager who had destroyed Argentina in 2018 was now 23 and possibly the most dangerous attacker on the planet. In the space of 97 seconds, between the 80th and 81st minutes, Mbappe scored twice, a penalty, then a volley that was hit so hard the net flinched, 2-2. The stadium went silent. Messi stood at the center circle, hands on his hips, staring at the scoreboard like it owed him money. Extra time, the 108th minute. Messi, of course, Messi. A scramble in the French box. The ball falls to Martinez's feet. He shoots. It is blocked. It falls back to Messi. He shoots again. Goal, 3-2. He ran to the corner flag and stood there with his arms spread wide, like a man standing at the edge of the earth, daring it to take one more thing from him. Mbappe scored again. From the penalty spot, 3-3. Even the scriptwriters had given up at this point. Nobody was writing this. This was beyond narrative. This was something else entirely. Penalties. Emiliano Martinez, the Argentine goalkeeper, saved one. Then Aurelien Tchouameni missed for France. Then Gonzalo Montiel stepped up. The same kind of moment that had broken Messi in 2015 and 2016. A penalty that would decide everything. Montiel scored, and Lionel Messi, at 35 years old, in his 5th and final World Cup, lifted the trophy that had defined his every waking thought for 2 decades. He did not just win it, he produced 7 goals and 3 assists across the tournament. He was named the Golden Ball winner for the 2nd time. He played every single minute of every single match. At 35, in a sport that considers 30 a veteran and 33 a relic, the boy who could not grow, the boy every club rejected, the boy who was too small, too fragile, too unlikely, He stood there in the Qatar night, wearing a bisht, a traditional Arab robe that had been placed on his shoulders, lifting the one trophy that no one could ever take from him. Nothing about it was normal, and that was exactly the point. We think we understand Lionel Messi because we have watched him our entire lives. We have seen every goal, every dribble, every assist, every trophy. We have debated him endlessly, compared him relentlessly, reduced him to statistics and arguments and Twitter threads that go nowhere. But the truth is, we have barely explored him. Less than 5% of Earth's ocean has been explored. The deepest parts remain almost entirely unknown. Scientists keep finding creatures down there that should not exist. Organisms that thrive in conditions that would destroy anything designed by conventional logic. They glow in the dark. They withstand pressures that would crush steel. They have evolved in isolation, developing abilities that the surface world cannot replicate or even fully understand. Messi is that. He is the creature from the deep that was never supposed to reach the surface, let alone dominate it. His body was not supposed to develop. His career was not supposed to happen. His World Cup was not supposed to arrive. Everything about him defied the models, the physical models, the statistical models, the narrative models. He broke all of them, and then he kept playing as though the models had never existed in the first place. 8 Ballon d'Ors, 4 Champions Leagues, a World Cup, a Copa America, 10 La Liga titles, over 800 career goals, over 300 assists, numbers that will not be matched in our lifetimes. Numbers that future generations will look at the way we look at records from the dead ball era, squinting at the page and asking, wait, that cannot be right. It is right, all of it. Every number, every trophy, every moment that made you stand up from your chair and say something you cannot repeat in polite company. Lionel Andres Messi Cucitini, born June 24, 1987, in Rosario, Argentina. 4'2" at 11 years old. Too small, too fragile, too unlikely. Nothing about him is normal, and after everything, after all the goals and the trophies and the heartbreaks and the comebacks, after the napkin and the needles and the tears on the Maracana pitch and the bisht draped over his shoulders in the Qatar night, we may understand even less of him than when we started. Like the deep sea, every time we look closer, we find something we cannot explain, something stranger, something more extraordinary than we thought possible. If you made it to the end of this, you are not a casual viewer. You are someone who understands that the greatest stories in sport are not the ones we tell. They are the ones we are still trying to comprehend. Subscribe, because next time we are going even deeper.